Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरोन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपां साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे
Hare Krishna. Reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. We are reading from Canto 3, Chapter 18, the battle between Lord Boar and Hiraṇyākṣa. So we are at text, I think. Mudit Krishna Prabhu, it is text
10.
9?
10.
10.
10,
Yeah.
10. We are on 10.
Yeah. So we are in the section where, second section of this, the verbal battle which is going on. So the Lord is replying now. The Lord is also very angry here. And he is replying, Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Satyam Vayambo Vanagochara Mriga Yushmat Vidhan Mrigaye Grama Simhan Namrutyupashair Pratimuktasya Veera Vitkatatthanam Tavam Grinanti Bhadra. Translation.
The personality of Godhead said, "Indeed, we are creatures of the jungle and we are searching after hunting dogs like you. One who is freed from the entanglement of death has no fear from the loose talk in which you are indulging, for you are bound up by the laws of death." Purport: demons and atheistic persons can go on insulting the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but they forget that they are subjected to the laws of birth and death. They think that simply by decrying the existence of the Supreme Lord or defying his stringent laws of nature, one can be freed from the clutches of birth and death. In Bhagavad Gita, it is stated that simply by understanding the transcendental nature of God, one can go back home, back to Godhead. But demons and atheistic persons do not try to understand the nature of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, they remain in the entanglement of birth and death. Hare Krishna.
So now the Lord said, Satyam, very true. Vayambho Vanagochara Mriga. Yes, we are the creatures of the jungle and we are searching after hunting dogs like you, Grama Simhan. So we here refers to the Lord and Bhudevi. Like, right? Because one can see whenever there is a Lakshmi energy of the Lord, the demon is never killed. But now the Lord says here, we, means I and Bhudevi. So that's why this is coming here as we. One reference to this is, it is referring to Lakshmi ji as well. Because whenever there is a presence of the Mother Lakshmi, Sita Mata, Radharani, the demon will not be killed outrightly, right? The demon will be spared. We can see like Kaliya was spared by the Supreme Lord. But here the Lord is saying, we are searching after Grama Simhan, hunting dogs like you. And what you are indulging in the loose talk, it is befitting to you because you are bound up by the laws of death. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes that the demons and the atheistic person can go on insulting the Supreme Lord, but they forget that they are subjected to the laws of birth and death. Right? So they go on insulting. There are so many examples. There was a very great, so-called great, actually was great also. There was some problem with the philosopher Nietzsche. And Nietzsche had put up a big sign on his house, God is dead, sign Nietzsche. And, after some years, after 20, 25 odd years, the Nietzsche died. And then they had put up another board on the, on the road, Nietzsche is dead, sign God. So people may insult God. Of course, the inside story of Nietzsche is that he was very harassed by this, the Biblic conception of God, that you surrender to him, otherwise he will destroy you, eternal hell. And more than God, he was fed up with the preachers about the God. Right. And he said in one of the conversation, if you tell me the conception of God who is smiling, dancing God, I will surely become devotee of that God. So Nietzsche was looking for Krishna actually. But anyway, so this reference comes. In Maharashtra, there was a very big person. His name was Dr. Shriram Lagu. Very famous for being atheistic. Of course, he was very civilized, very cultured man, but very, very atheistic. Devala retire kara, this was his constant phrase, retire kara, retire kara. He had only one son, and one day when his son was traveling from Bombay to Pune, that time, some people from the Jhopadpatti area or something like that, they will take a stone and hit on the, and that's what very prevalent in that area, that era. And one of the stone hit his son, and he died on the spot. Only son of Dr. Shriram Lagu. Dr. Shriram Lagu and Rima Lagu, very famous couple. And then his interview, it was very, very sad. I mean, demon or atheist or theist, such a thing should never happen in anybody's life. But what the point we want to convey is, the first reaction of this was, Getla's Devani Badla Getla's Maza. This was his reaction, that God has taken revenge. Are you don't believe in God, then how God will take revenge? Your whole life you have dedicated, saying that, there is no God. And when this is happening to you, that means deep within you, you are theistic, having complete faith in God. Right? So, Prabhupada writes here, demons and the atheistic persons can go on insulting the Supreme Lord, but they forget they are subjected to the stringent laws of material nature. Decrying or defying God will not solve the problem. But one will be accelerated on the path of birth and death. And simply, on the contrary, simply by understanding and appreciating God, right, one can actually become free from the entanglement and lead towards a life which is one is always aspiring for. Janma karma chame divyam evam yot vetti tatvatah tyaktva deham. So simply by understanding the activities and the birth of the Supreme Lord is transcendental, one can actually transcend the material nature. But the demons and atheistic people do not try to understand the nature of the Lord, and thus they remain adamantly entangled in the laws of birth and death. So, Shri Bhagavan Vacha, text 11. Ete vayam yasaharar saukasam gatarriyo gadaya dravitaste tishtamahe thapi kaschitan jadajo stheyam kvayamo balinotpadatya vairam. Translation?
Certainly, we have stolen the charge of the inhabitants of Rasatal and have lost all shame. Although beaten by your powerful mace, I shall stay here in the water for some time because, having created enmity with a powerful enemy, I now have no place to go. Purport. The demon should have known that God cannot be driven out of any place, for he is all-pervading. Demons think of their possessions as their property, but actually everything belongs to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who can take anything at any time he likes.
So now, first he said, you are Vanam Gochara Mruga. And the Lord said, yes, I am Vana Gochara Mruga, coming to hunt a dog like you, Grama Simhan. And then the demon had said, I will drive you away, and you are shameless. And the Lord says here, yes, we have stolen the charge of the inhabitants of Rasatal and have lost all shame. Why? Because by Lord appearing in Rasatal, the Rasatal, it is actually very shameful that somebody is coming from Rasatal. That means that, say somebody says, I have just come out from Tihar jail yesterday. That means you are actually, you are telling people that you are a criminal and you have just come out. Similarly, by the visit of the Lord to the Rasatal, now the Rasatal has become Tirthakshetra. And those who were shameful of coming out of Rasatal, now they can be extremely happy saying that I have come from Rasatal, which was visited by Varahadev. So this is the inner meaning of the Lord that he is portraying here. Although bitten by your powerful mace, I will stay here in the water for some time. Having created enmity with a powerful enemy like you, I have no place to go. And here, when Hiraṇyākṣa is saying, I will drive you away with my Mahagadam, the Lord is saying, yes, your Mahagadam, I will be hit by your Mahagadam, but I will still stay because I have no other place to go. That means every place belongs to me. Right? Beautiful, beautiful Bhagavatam it is. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains, demon should have known that God cannot be driven out of any place. कहाँ से निकालेंगे भगवान को? अंडांतरस्थ परमाणु चयांतरस्थम govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. He is within every atom, within the space of the atom. He is in the heart of every living entity, including in the heart of Netse and Sri Ram Lagu and Hiraṇyākṣa. From where you will remove the Lord? Lord cannot be driven out of any of his place, right? Demon thinks that their possessions are their property, but actually everything belongs to the Supreme Lord. Isha vastimidam sarvam yat kinchat jagatyam jagat. And therefore, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who can take anything at any time as he likes. And this we should be very careful. Sometimes, we lose on something, we lose on people, we lose on some opportunity. Of course, one has to derive a lesson from that loss. At the same time, we should know that we are not the ultimate controller. A time is going to come, we are going to lose everything in the terms of mrityu sarva haraschaham. So one should not be excessively self-critical or regretful, remorseful when one loses something in life. So one has to be very careful that it is given to us. And devotees, that's why they write ICO, right? In care of. In care of means this is given to in care of us, and we'll try to use it, try to protect it, try to utilize it in Lord's service. And whenever it is taken away, we gracefully accept it. Text 12. Tvam padarathanam kilayuthapadhipo Ghatasvanastvastaye ashunuha samsthapya chasman pramujashrusvakanam yasvam pratigyam na atipiparti asadbhyah. Translation?
You are supposed to be the commander of many foot soldiers, and now you may take prompt steps to overthrow us. Give up all your foolish talk and wipe out the cares of your kith and kin by slaying us. One may be proud, yet he does not deserve a seat in an assembly if he fails to fulfill his promised word. Purport: a demon may be a great soldier and commander of a large number of infantry, but in the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is powerless and is destined to die. The Lord therefore challenged the demon not to go away but to fulfill his promised word, to kill him. Hare Krishna.
So the Lord said, you have spoken big words. I will kill you. I will do this. So, my dear Hiraṇyākṣa, you are a commander of many foot soldiers. Pathat Rathanam, Padarathanam means their pada, their feet only is their ratha. Very beautiful word, right? Padarathanam, foot soldiers. So there is a chariot, and the pada is also one kind of a chariot. And on this chariot, one should visit the temple, right? So therefore, using the feet to go to the temple or going for a tirtha kshetra is considered as a great austerity. Take prompt steps and give up your foolish talk and wipe out the cares of your kith and kin. You may be very proud. Now you fulfill your promised words. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that a demon may be a great soldier or commander of a large army, but in the presence of the Supreme Lord, he is powerless and destined to die. And therefore, the Lord challenged the demon not to go away and fulfill his promised words to kill him. And this is being always the case, that the demoniac civilization may appear very strong, relentless, all overshadowing everything literally, but eventually the things will turn around. And India has witnessed this, right? Just 400 years back, there was such a condition that one could not even chant Krishna or Rama on the street. And now there are temples in Pakistan. So this is always going to change. Now we come to the third section of this chapter. Texts 13 to 20, fight between Lord Varāha and Hiraṇyākṣa. Maitreya uvacha soham sodhikshipto bhagavata pralabdhascha rushabhrisham ajaharolbanam krodham kridamanyo ahirativa. Translation.
Sri Maitreya said, the demon, being thus challenged by the personality of Godhead, became angry and agitated, and he trembled in anger like a challenged cobra. Purport: a cobra is very fierce before ordinary person, but before an enchanter who can play with him, he is plaything. Similarly, a demon may be very powerful in his own domain, but before the Lord, he is insignificant. The demon Ravana was a fierce figure before the demigods, but when he was before Lord Ramachandra, he trembled and prayed to his deity, Lord Shiva. But to no avail. Hare Krishna.
Maitreya continued his talk. The demon became very angry and agitated upon hearing the Lord and trembled like Ahirativa. So Ahirat means a great cobra. Just like when you step on the tail of the cobra, how the cobra will become, he will become extremely angry and agitated and ready to bite. Similarly, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, cobra may be very fierce before the ordinary person, but before the enchanter, he's just a plaything, and he will be dancing to the tune of the enchanter. Similarly, a demon may appear extremely powerful, but before the Supreme Lord, demon is simply a plaything, actually playing the script of the Supreme Lord, right? And Srila Prabhupada gives the example of Ravana here. Ravana was a very fierce figure in front of the demigods. But before Lord Ramachandra, he was trembling and, praying to Lord Shiva to protect him. And this we'll see time and again. Banasur, the same case, right? Hiraṇyākṣa is the same case. Hiranyakashipu is the same case. So the Lord is the supreme enchanter. He's called as Madan Mohan, and therefore there is no question of anybody standing in front of the Supreme Lord. Text 14. Srujanamarshita shvasan manyu prachalita indriya asadyatara sadaityo gadayanihat harim. Translation.
Hissing indignantly, all his senses shaken by wrath, the demon quickly sprang upon the Lord and dealt him a blow with his powerful mace.
So such heated arguments and the Lord challenging. So one can say when the demon is challenging, there is inbuilt envy. When the Lord is challenging, still there is inbuilt appreciation. He is still saying, oh, you are powerful. You are powerful, mace. So one can see that a subtle thread of magnanimity in the personality of Godhead. And this is how the devotees of the Lord should be. Udara, very magnanimous. Hissing. So he was like breathing very heavily, hissing like that. All his senses shaken by the wrath, the demon quickly sprang upon the Lord and dealt him a blow with his powerful mace, Mahagadam, and he attacked Lord Hari. Text 15. Bhagavan stugada vegam visrishtam ripuno rasi avanjayan tirais chenam yogarhuda ivantakam. Translation.
The Lord,
The Lord,
however, moving slightly aside, dodged the violent mace blow aimed at his breast by the enemy, just as an accomplished yogi would elude death. Purport. The example is given herein that the perfect yogi can overcome a death blow, although it is offered by the laws of nature. It is useless for a demon to beat the transcendental body of the Lord with a powerful mace, for no one can surpass his prowess. Those who are advanced transcendentalists are freed from the laws of nature, and even a death blow cannot act on them. Superficially, it may be seen that a yogi is attacked by a death blow, but by the grace of the Lord, he can overcome many such attacks for the service of the Lord. As the Lord exists by his own independent prowess, by the grace of the Lord, the devotees also exist for his service.
The Lord, moving slightly aside, dodged that violent mace blow aimed at his breast, Urasi, just as the accomplished yogi would elude death. So the beauty of Bhagavatam is the analogies Bhagavatam will also offer. So Hiraṇyākṣa became angry like a trampled cobra, and the Lord, he dodged the mace, Mahagadam, just like accomplished yogi will elude death. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains, the example here is that the perfect yogi can overcome death blow, although it is offered by the laws of material nature. And there is a very classical example of this. In Maharashtra, there was a mystic. His name was Changdev, right? And he was estimated to be living for hundreds of years, because what he used to do, that whenever the Yamadutas used to come, he used to technically go out of the body by using some vidya, by using some yoga vidya. He will take his soul out of the body and control the body remotely. And the technically the Yamadutas, when they are supposed to capture the Atman should be within the body, and they are supposed to capture the Atman within that muhurta. That death muhurta is also fixed, and only for that one muhurta he used to be remain outside of the body. And all the Yamadutas, they used to go back khali hath, because whom they will capture, there was nothing inside the body. Yamadutas don't capture the body as such, they capture the subtle body. So he used to come out with the subtle body and the soul, and only gross body is there, what they will capture. And they used to go out and again he used to enter, and this is how he dodged the death blows many times, right? And therefore he was expected to be living for a very long time. And this was very prevalent in the previous times. This is as early as 700-800 years ago we are discussing. Advanced transcendentalists are freed from the laws of material nature. So while a yogi can dodge death by such tricks, for the devotee of the Lord gives the devotee free will. Superficially, it may be seen that a yogi is attacked by a death blow, but by the grace of the Lord, he can overcome many such attacks for the service of the Lord. And who is the yogi who is doing service to the Lord? That is Bhakti Yogi. And the classical example is Srila Prabhupada himself. That when Srila Prabhupada was going from India to America on the cargo ship, he had 2 massive heart attacks. But still, Srila Prabhupada survived by the mercy of the Lord, praying to the Lord. And then he went on to, perform such a unimaginable, monumental service of spreading Krishna consciousness everywhere. As the Lord exists by his own sweet, independent prowess, by the grace of the Lord, the devotee also exists for his service. So just like the Lord exists by his prowess, the devotee is also beyond the laws of material nature, and he also exists for the service of the Lord. So just as we see example of Srila Prabhupada, there is also modern day example of His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj. So Jayapataka Maharaj was, he was on the stroke. He suffered that stroke, brain stroke, and the survival was only 1%. And that survival is also those who survive that stroke, 1%. They survive like a vegetable for their remaining of 2-3 years of life. Like classic example of this is Michael Schumacher, the very famous, the Guinness World Book of Records champion Ferrari driver, F1 race. And he met with an accident and had this brain stroke. And he's just living like a vegetable, last for so many years, almost like 8 to 10 years now. Maharaj suffered even severe brain stroke than him. And the survival chance was 1%. And within that, it was impossible that somebody will even start walking, talking. And Maharaj has done last almost like more than 15, 20 odd years. He has done phenomenal service in the mission of Srila Prabhupada. Phenomenal. The number of disciples he has initiated, the number of lectures he has given. Sometimes his lectures are not very easily understood. Then, he has disciples who will translate. They will simply on the lip movement, they will translate, what he is speaking. The number of Namahatta programs he has opened, number of temples he has opened, number of, the thousands of miles that he has traveled. This proves that superficially a yogi may be attacked by a death blow, but by the grace of the Lord, he can overcome many such attacks for the service of the Supreme Lord. Very classical example of His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj, which is there right in front of us. Okay. So the Lord and his devotee, they exist. And Srila Prabhupada also in the final days, Prabhupada said that actually Krishna has given me free will. I can stay or I can go back, but I think my work is done now. So Prabhupada did say like this. One can see similar thing in the life of Bhishma Dev. Right. Text 16. Punargadam swamadaya brahmayantam adhikshmashah abhyadavat harir kruddha samramandha drishta datkadam. Translation.
The personality of Godhead now exhibited his anger and rushed to meet the demon, who bit his lip in rage, took up his mace again, and began to repeatedly brandish it about.
Yeah. So the Lord now exhibited his anger. The Lord also became very angry and rushed to meet the demon who was just biting his lips because he had just missed that huge blow. And he again ran and picked up the mace, and again he was now preparing for the next blow on the Supreme Lord. Text 17. Tadasya gadaya ratim dakshinasyam brui prabhu ajagne satu tam saumya gadaya kovidanata. Translation.
Then with this mace, the Lord struck the enemy on the right side of his brow. But since the demon was expert in fighting, O gentle Vidura, he protected himself by a maneuver of his own mace.
Yeah. So now Lord picked up his gada and gave a blow to the demon, but the demon was also very expert. He also took his gada and he counteracted that blow. Text 18. Evam gadabhyam gurvibhyam haryaksho harirev cha jigishaya susamrabdho anunyam abhijagnatu.
In this way, the demon Hiraṇyākṣa and the Lord, the personality of Godhead, struck each other with their huge maces, each enraged and seeking his own victory. Purport. Hiraṇyākṣa is another name for Hiraṇyākṣa, the demon.
So this is how the gada fight between the Supreme Lord, Lord Varāha, and Hiraṇyākṣa. So Hiraṇyākṣa, Prabhupada says, it's another name of Hiraṇyākṣa. So it's Hiraṇyākṣa. So Hiranyakashipu used to call him, instead of calling Hiraṇyākṣa, at times Hiraṇyākṣa, like that. You call your younger brother with a pet name. So this was another name of Hiraṇyākṣa, the demon. So we will conclude here and continue tomorrow. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you,
Thank you,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.